There's been a lot of buzz this past week dealing with social media ROI, or return on investment. The conversation was largely started by Olivier Blanchard, whose website, thebrandbuilder.wordpress.com, he writes a series of blog posts dealing with how to represent and present a compelling and persuasive position to company executives that support the idea of implementing the social media strategy. And virtually everyone who wants to implement a social media plan for a company, and whether it's you're working internally or whether you're a consultant who's trying to pitch it to a client, you're going to deal with executives who are finance-minded, and they look upon every project as an allocation of finite resources. And so what they're looking for is delivering the resources to those projects that deliver the biggest return on their investment. And it's smart business, and quite frankly, it's simply the way the business is done. And for you to convince these executives to support a social media plan, you have to have a convincing and a compelling case to justify your social media strategy. And this is not to disparage in any way the value of building relationships and engaging people in conversations, but the problem is that isn't the language that is really convincing to the average CEO. So I'm not trying to convince you to sell off your social media soul, but I do want to help you talk in a language that the CEO, CFO will understand and will support. First of all, you have to understand from their perspective, they have an agenda, and their agenda is to turn a single dollar of investment into $2. And you have to convince them that you have a way to help them achieve their agenda, which is turn a dollar into $2. And you have to talk in language that they understand. If you start talking in terms of Twitter followers, and how many times your posts were retweeted, how many times your fan page on Facebook was shared with other people, you're going to lose them, because this is language they don't understand. What they understand is process, a plan, cost, and the return. And so you need to go in with a specific process in mind, a plan that you've outlined to execute, and a firm understanding of what the costs are going to be and what the return is going to be. One of the big mistakes I've seen social media advocates make is their claim that social media costs are zero. And the fact is, social media costs can be extraordinarily high, and not necessarily in terms of the technology or the software investment, but in terms of human cost. To execute a social media strategy effectively requires that someone be posting content to a blog. So you've got people have to generate content, people have to post comment, people have to monitor the comments that come in on the blogs. And if you're executing kind of a multi-pronged social media approach that includes Twitter, includes Facebook, includes LinkedIn, includes other social media components that may be industry specific, you're going to need people monitoring the social media components all day long. And so instead of doing other work, they're going to be monitoring social media components, and there is a cost to that. And it can be a significant cost. So whatever you do, don't say that the cost is nothing. Estimate the cost, the number of people who would be involved, and so it is a believable number and an accurate number for the CEO to process. Next, they're going to look for what is your return going to be, and it has to be something tangible, it has to be something measurable. And you can look at return in a couple of ways. One is a qualitative way. And this is typically how social media people discuss the return on their investment. When they talk about how many times they were mentioned, how many conversations they were engaged in, how their reputation has been enhanced online. And while all of that may be true, you have to be able to convert that into something quantifiable. And not just in terms quantifiable as how many followers do you have, how many times have your posts been retweeted, how many inbound links there have been generated to a specific blog post, or the number of specific conversations you've had, but you need to turn it into metrics that the CEO will understand. And typically what they're looking for are new customers, new sales, increased sales, or increased margins. Those are quantifiable numbers that are delivered to the bottom line, and that they understand. Now, a Olivier details how FRI, the frequency, reach, and yield evaluation and measurement, works when applied to social media. You can read about it at thebrandbuilder.wordpress.com, and fundamentally what it means is frequency means you increase the number of times that one of your current clients does business with you. So someone may have done business with you once a quarter. If you can get them up to 2 times a quarter, then obviously you've generated more revenue, more margin for your company. Reach means not only can you reach a broader number of people, because you now reach out not only to your network, but to your network's network, so you can reach a broader number of people, and social media allows you to communicate more effectively the depth of your product line. So people can buy deeper into what you buy. So rather than a single product, they can learn about half a dozen products, and again, spend more money with you. And the Y in FRI stands for yield, which is the total number of times and the total amount of revenue generated from any one client by increasing the total amount of the average sale that customer does with you. And if you execute a social media strategy effectively, you should be able to increase all 3 components: the frequency, the reach, and the yield. That is something that the CEO will understand, because that translates into tangible dollars that are the result of new customers, new sales, increased sales, and increased margins, and that's how you sell a CEO.